The 4th of July, 2025, started like any other at Orange Beach, Alabama. The sun was high and hot, casting a brilliant shimmer across the turquoise waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Families had staked their claims on the white sand, their colorful umbrellas forming a vibrant mosaic against the shore. The air was thick with the smell of sunscreen, salt, and barbecue smoke drifting from nearby condos. Laughter and the pop-pop-pop of distant firecrackers provided the soundtrack to a perfect summer holiday. Thousands of people were celebrating, cooling off in the gentle surf or casting lines from the pier, completely unaware of the monstrous secret the ocean was about to reveal. Nothing in the history of this popular vacation spot could have prepared them for the chaos that was about to unfold. It began subtly, almost unnoticeably. A few swimmers closest to the pier mentioned an odd, pulling current, something stronger than the usual tide. The water's surface, about 100 yards out, started to behave strangely. It churned without reason, the gentle waves replaced by a swirling vortex that grew wider and deeper with alarming speed. People on the beach pointed, their festive mood shifting to one of curiosity and then unease. The whirlpool was unnatural, a dark, spinning maw opening in the otherwise placid Gulf. It wasn't a rip current, it was something else entirely, something powerful and ominous that seemed to be drawing the very life from the sea around it. The joyful sounds of the holiday were abruptly silenced, replaced by a collective gasp that rippled through the crowd. From the heart of the swirling water, something immense began to rise. It was not a whale, nor any known creature of the sea. What emerged was a true leviathan, a beast of mythic proportions that blotted out the sun. Its skin was a mottled gray-green, like ancient waterlogged stone, and slick with an oily sheen. The sheer scale of it was incomprehensible, a living mountain of flesh and muscle that defied all logic. The holiday atmosphere instantly evaporated, replaced by a primal, suffocating fear that gripped every single person on the beach. The initial shock gave way to pure panic. A wave of screams erupted along the coastline as people scrambled to get away from the water's edge. Parents snatched their children and ran, abandoning coolers, chairs, and towels in a desperate flight for safety. The Leviathan let out a low, gut-wrenching roar that vibrated through the sand, a sound that seemed to come from the very depths of the planet. It was a declaration, a terrifying announcement of its arrival. The idyllic holiday scene had transformed in mere moments into a scene of absolute horror, a nightmare brought to life under the bright afternoon sun. For the people of Orange Beach, the 4th of July would never be the same again. The creature's attack was swift and brutal, a horrifying display of raw, untamed power. Its massive head, larger than a charter bus, turned towards the swimmers who were now thrashing frantically to get back to shore. They were the closest, the most vulnerable. Eyewitnesses later described eyes like dark, fathomless pools, and a cavernous mouth lined with what looked like rows of jagged, barnacle-encrusted rocks. With a terrifying surge, it lunged forward, and the water erupted in a violent spray of white foam and red. The half-dozen fishing boats anchored nearby were tossed about like bathtub toys in the wake of its movement, their occupants clinging to the rails in sheer terror as the beast turned its attention toward them. A local news team stringer, who had been at the beach to capture footage of the holiday crowds, became the world's window into this unbelievable event. His camera, though shaking, stayed focused on the monster. The footage he captured was chilling. It showed the Leviathan effortlessly splintering the hull of a charter boat with a single devastating strike of its colossal tail. The screams of those on board were drowned out by the crunch of fiberglass and wood. The video documented the pure chaos as the beast moved with a terrifying grace through the water, its massive body creating waves that crashed against the shore with destructive force, sweeping away everything in their path and adding to the pandemonium. Testimonies from the survivors painted a fragmented but consistent picture of the horror. A fisherman, pulled from the water by a rescue jet ski, spoke of the creature's immense shadow passing under his boat just moments before it was destroyed. He described a hide as tough as armor and an intelligence in its eyes that was deeply unsettling. A family watching from their high-rise balcony told reporters they saw it coil its long, serpentine body around one of the pier's thick pylons, shaking the entire structure as if testing its strength. These accounts, combined with the news footage, confirmed that this was not a random act of nature. It was a targeted, predatory assault. This attack was completely unprecedented for the Gulf of Mexico, or indeed for any coastal region in modern history. Marine biologists and authorities were left stunned and without answers. While the Gulf is home to large creatures like sperm whales and whale sharks, nothing in the fossil record or biological text comes close to describing the animal that appeared at Orange Beach. It was a living relic from a time before man, a creature whose existence was relegated to cautionary tales and ancient myths. Its sudden, violent appearance in these warm, shallow waters shattered our understanding of the ocean and what it might be hiding in its unplumbed depths. While the Orange Beach Leviathan was a shock of unparalleled magnitude, it did not emerge in a complete vacuum of strange marine phenomena. In the months leading up to the July 4th incident, there had been a noticeable and unsettling increase in the sightings of other deep-sea creatures in unusual places. Most notable among these were the repeated appearances of the oarfish, a long ribbon-like fish that typically lives thousands of feet below the surface. These creatures, often dubbed doomsday fish in folklore, have a long-standing reputation as harbingers of natural disasters, particularly earthquakes and tsunamis. Their sudden presence in shallow waters had already put coastal communities on edge. The sightings began in the late summer of 2024 and continued into 2025, creating a trail of eerie breadcrumbs along the Pacific coast. In August, kayakers at La Jolla Cove found a 12-foot specimen. A month later, another washed up at Huntington Beach. By November, a 10-foot oarfish was recovered in Encinitas. The pattern culminated in February 2025, when a video went viral showing a large oarfish thrashing weakly in the shallows off a beach in Mexico. Each discovery fueled public speculation and fear. In Japanese mythology, these creatures are considered messengers from the sea god's palace, and their emergence is said to signal that something is deeply wrong in the world below. For centuries, sailors and fishermen have shared tales of sea serpents and krakens, stories largely dismissed by science as fantasy or misidentification of known animals like giant squid or whales. The occasional find of an oarfish with its serpentine body and strange bony crest often sparked curiosity and a brief revival of these old legends. But these were isolated incidents, rare curiosities that were easily explained away. The recent string of appearances, however, felt different. It was a persistent pattern, a steady stream of messengers from the abyss, all seemingly warning of a great disturbance in their deep, dark home. The Leviathan's assault on Orange Beach now cast these earlier events in a terrifying new light. Were the oarfish simply fleeing some change in their deep-sea habitat? A shift in temperature, a chemical imbalance, or underwater seismic activity? Or were they running from something far more terrifying? Perhaps they were escaping a predator that had been awakened in the depths, a colossal hunter that had now followed them to the surface. The question that hangs heavy in the air is whether these omens were not predicting an earthquake, but announcing the arrival of an even greater catastrophe, the monster itself. In the aftermath of the attack, Orange Beach is a community gripped by fear and disbelief. The white sands, once a symbol of carefree holidays, are now a stark reminder of the horror that unfolded. The pier is damaged, the water is empty, and a heavy silence hangs over the town, broken only by the hum of news vans and the sirens of patrol boats searching the coastline. The sense of safety has been irrevocably shattered. People who have lived by the Gulf their entire lives now look at the water not with love and respect, but with a deep-seated dread. The ocean, their lifelong neighbor, has revealed a face of unimaginable terror, and no one knows if or when it will show itself again. The incident has ignited a firestorm of questions that science is struggling to answer. What was this creature? Where did it come from? Geologists are analyzing seismic data for any underwater events that could have driven it from the depths, while marine biologists scramble to find any historical or biological precedent for such a being. The term Leviathan, once a word from scripture and myth, is now being used in official reports. It highlights our profound ignorance. We have mapped the surface of the moon with more detail than we have the floors of our own oceans, and this event serves as a brutal reminder that we are not the masters of this planet. The psychological impact on the witnesses and the wider public is immense. The footage has been played on a loop across the globe, seeding a primal fear of the deep in the collective consciousness. How can we feel safe swimming at the beach or sailing on a boat when we now know that such a monster could be lurking just beneath the waves? The attack challenges our fundamental belief that the world is a known, quantifiable place. It suggests that there are still giants in the earth, mysteries that our modern world has forgotten but not vanquished. The ocean's depths hold secrets we cannot possibly comprehend. As the sun sets over the Gulf of Mexico, the water looks dark and impenetrable, a world away from the inviting turquoise it was just days ago. The search continues, but the Leviathan has vanished as mysteriously as it appeared, leaving behind only wreckage, unanswered questions, and a profound sense of vulnerability. What else is stirring in the crushing blackness of the abyss? Have we, through our own actions, disturbed a slumbering world we should have left alone? The people of Orange Beach, and now the world, look out at the horizon and wonder, with a chilling new respect, what other monsters the sea is hiding.